Huh. Well, they have 5d6 plus 4 piercing damage bites, so they hit like a boss. They only get 1 bite. They also have a blind side 120 feet. So if you really need to see some invisible creatures and are okay not moving, you could become a beached killer whale.
How long can you hold your breath there?
30 minutes.
Oh.
Okay.
I
Just
mean,
have
it's
your
a
barbarian
fight,
drag you around by the tail. Hold on, I kind of love that, actually. Wait, hold on. I take it back. I'm absolutely doing this now.
Hello, friends. Robert Bevan here, author of the Caverns Creatures series of comedy, fantasy novels, and short stories. With me is Sam West, and today we are covering another Druid subclass. We're going Circle of the Moon this time.
Oh,
To
woo.
the
I'm a
to the moon,
werewolf.
Alice.
Oh, I was thinking to the moon like the game stop stonks. Whatever.
Ralph Cramden.
I don't know that reference.
The Honeymooners. That's that's all right. It's from like the 30s or something.
Okay, that definitely is on you.
Yeah,
So I recommended
before
this
your time.
before your
Yeah,
time.
I know.
I recommended this for people that want to play druids that want to attack things as a bear because this is how you do it. And it's kind of the only way to do it currently. And it's looking to get revised in the next edition. God, I hope that happens because it's currently a nightmare. And like, there are the people that love it to death as it's written, but it really. Wild Shape could use some simplification, as challenging as that might be. Now, I don't want to read Wild Shape because it's 2 pages long. So I'm not going to.
Okay.
But it is very, very relevant for the sake of doing this video. So I have it up here to reference because Lord knows I'm going to have to. The important thing to take from this, though, is you must abide by all the restrictions Wild Shape has except for CR. Otherwise, this whole subclass's job is to turn you into beasts that are awesome and attack with them aggressively and augment Wild Shape from that point onward. It's kind of cool. It has some course problems, especially in scaling, but I mean, we'll just dive into it and go down the features and talk about it as we go. Sound good?
Yep.
Okay. So we start with the meat and potatoes, and that is combat wild shape. So when you choose the circle at second level, you get the ability to use your wild shape as a bonus action rather than as an action. Oh, this isn't the meat and potatoes. This is just quality of life updates. I apologize. Additionally, while you're transformed in wild shape, you can use a bonus action to heal D8 for slot spended if you spend spell slots to do it. You rarely are going to want to do that. It's not efficient, and we'll touch on why in a second. The actual meat of this is circle forms. So the rights of your circle grant you the ability to transform into more dangerous animal forms. Starting at second level, you can use your wild shape to transform into a beast with a challenge rating as high as 1. You ignore the max CR column of the beast shapes table, but must abide by other limitations there. Starting at 6th level, you can transform into a beast with a challenge rating as high as your druid level divided by 3, rounded down. So as a 6th level druid, it's CR2, 9th level CR3, 12th level CR4, 15th level CR5, and 18th level CR6.
Yes.
Now, these are very simple words. This is one of the shortest subclasses we've read. How complicated could it be? The answer is very, because you sure do still have a bunch of restrictions they have to abide by. So, for example, even though you can have a CR to 1 transformation, they cannot have a flying speed nor a swim speed until 4th level. And you get this at 2nd level. That's a consideration. The actual form lists that I've got pulled up here is on the monster list on Donjon because it's a nice and very easily searchable, sortable method. There are not size restrictions, to my knowledge. I am reading through Wild Shape to double check this, but it literally is all based off CR. So if you can find huge or gargantuan CR1 beasts, you're good to go. The
What about
biggest
tiny?
Yep, tiny's absolutely on the table. That's one of the big perks to regular Wild Shape. Is you can
Okay.
turn into mice and spiders and that fun stuff, right?
Okay, because I don't think that was the case in 3rd edition.
I believe that is the case here. Commenters, let me up in the comments if I'm wrong about anything that has to do with Wild Shape. I'm sure I will be at one point during this video.
Sure.
The option list that you get that is vaguely interesting. So again, it's important to note things cannot have a swim speed. So if it has a swim speed, it's unavailable to you until 4th level. So you get brown bears, you get dire wolves, you get giant hyenas, you get giant spiders, you get giant toads, and then once you get flight and swim speeds, we can add on vultures and eagles and other giant things to that. Now, what all of these have in common is they are a robust amount of hit points, And more importantly, they are a big damage upgrade. One of them is a way bigger damage upgrade than the rest, then,
Is
though,
this
and that
the bear?
it's Brown Bear.
Yeah.
The reason it's Brown Bear because Brown Bear gets a feature called multi-attack, which is distinctly different than attack, extra attack, and all those other features. It exists because you get the stat block, you get their actions, you get the multi-attack action when you transform into a Brown Bear. And when you absorb and get that ability, it simply says you make 2 attacks, one with your bite, one with your claws each turn. Your bite does a d8 plus 4, and your claws do 2d6 plus 4, which means a second level character out the gate got a plus 4 great sword attack stable to a plus 4 long sword attack for free, just for
Yeah.
wild shaping into it. And that's yucky good. On top of going up to 34 hit points from what your druid hit point pool would be, which would be around 15. So you're over doubling your HP. You're getting a multi-attack that's hitting like a bus. You get a 40-foot base speed, and the biggest downside is your AC at 11. But that is like 95% of what you're going to end up doing here is you turn into a brown bear, you maul things, and you feel like a superhero.
Yeah, I mean, if whatever you're fighting at these levels, you're going to be destroying them before they get a chance to attack.
And even if they
But
do
it
get a
doesn't
chance to
matter
attack,
because you do have a bunch of hit points.
yes. A core feature that you're going to see when you're playing Moon Druid. Your hit points are the most expendable hit points because they don't count. Because you can wild shape twice at 2nd level. You get them back when you finish a short or long rest. Every time you use a bonus action, you get that max HP pool. So the moment you wild shape into a bear, you get 34 hit points. If those hit points go away, you use a bonus action next turn, turn back into a bear, you got 34 more hit points to play with. That's a ton. That's functional 68 hit points at 2nd level on top of your regular druid hit points. All of that's stable to an extra attack, which makes this thing utterly disgusting to play with at 2nd level. Like, ridiculously powerful.
Yes.
Most of the complexities all come around to how wild shape actually works. So, for example, you can concentrate on spells, but you can't cast spells. Generally speaking, it's bad to concentrate on spells while you're a bear because your AC is 11, so you're going to take a large chunks of damage, so concentration is going to fall off pretty easily. But it is a thing you can do if you so choose. But for the most part, you're going to turn into a bear, you're going to maul some people, you're going to have a good time with it. Any questions, or should we keep moving right along?
Just saying, like, all right, wild shape, does that have a time limit?
Technically, but I think it's twice your druid level in hours.
Okay. No,
It's number of hours equal to half your druid level.
No.
So it's rounded down. So it's minimum 1, I'm assuming. So it'd be shape a number of hours. Minimum 1 because you get a second level. So
because you get a second level, yeah. Because I'm thinking, in what situation would I want to concentrate as a bear? And I'm thinking, all right, I want a bear for the hit points, but I want my little summoned beast to go ahead of me. So, all right, guys, do what you want. I'm gonna hang back as a bear and watch for a little while, and then I'll go in.
I do think that's one of the big questions on Moon Druid is what are your spells doing? It's always a fun tension that the option has. I find that what this option tends to look like is in the low tiers, you're just a bowling ball of a martial character with really amazing out of combat utility because it's where all your spells go. And then in the upper tiers, you stop wild shaping and you just start blowing things up with 9th and 8th level spells because that's better, generally speaking, than becoming like an elemental. So.
All right, another question. Now, 2nd level, you're a bear. And that's
you're a bear.
As much as you're going to do until the CR doesn't go up until level 6, right?
Correct. Then it's your level divided by 3.
Right. So at level 6, you get level CR2.
Yes. Now,
what is competing with bear level at CR2?
At CR2? Oh goodness. So I think we should touch on that when we get there as sort of like progressive improvements because I do want to touch on another thing first.
All right.
And that is at 4th level, you get the ability to get a swim speed, which opens up additional CR1 options that were not available before, namely the giant octopus, which is super, super fun because it's got a grapple attack that is 2d6 plus 3 bludgeoning damage, underwater camouflage, and is enormous. It's got 52 hit points. The thing is even thicker than the bears are. So if you want to be just the chonkiest lad on the playground, turning into a giant octopus twice, even if you're above water because you have hold breath, you can hold your breath for you can hold your breath for an hour, which is the entire duration of your wild shape anyway. You can just become a giant octopus on land. and just cracking it up. And just be like, all right, who is within reach of me? Yoink, smash them around, slap around, have a great time.
Well, no,
It
because
is
at
genuinely very fun.
at level 4, it would go up to 2 hours, right?
You're right. So you'd only be able to breathe out of water for an hour as that octopus. So keep that in mind. You'll normally do it for an encounter, though.
Now,
You
does
also
the giant octopus have a land speed? Can you?
10.
All right, well, all right.
You can get around. More importantly, you have a 15-foot reach. So not only are you a 2x2 grid, you can reach 15 feet on all sides of that 2x2 grid, which means you have a functional width of what? 40 feet that you can threaten, and the 10-foot extra on each side. So you cover a gigantic amount of space when you play. It's a
Okay.
really fun time. Wanted to
Oh,
point
yeah.
that out. You can't become a swarm of Quippers, though, because they're a swarm. And I believe in the rules for wild shape, you can't become swarms. So we covered that.
That sounds reasonable.
Yeah, agreed. Next on the list is CR2, right? Because Circle or Primal Strike also happen at the same time. Okay.
Yes.
So yeah, 6th level gives us Primal Strike, which makes your weapons magical, but that's not the bulk of what you get. The bulk of what you get is 2nd level wild shapes. And they are competing with Bear, which is a really good point. You'll also note, at this point, none of your shapes have improved because they don't. The only thing that improves is your ability to get new forms. So your Bear looks exactly the same at 2nd level as it does at 18th level. So you have a very, very high peak, and it just kind of steadily goes down from there with little bumps up as you get your higher CR stuff.
But what I'm asking, though, is do I want to play a bear anymore? What do I got at CR2?
Cave Bear.
Oh, there you go. Is that better than brown bear?
Probably. I have to use a different source for this stab block because it's gated for me for some reason. Yeah, this one sure gets multi-attack. It is sure a strict upgrade. So if you wanted to keep doing the bear thing, this is a nearly strict upgrade to the brown bear. You have 42 hit points instead of 34. You get +1 AC. You get multi-attack that all get +1 from a D8 +4 to a D8 +5. It's just like a small upgrade across the board for that. Now, alternatively, you can become a giant elk, which is huge. And now we get into the territory where Moon Druid starts to get wacky, because huge is really freaking big. Huge is a 3x3 grid. You are functionally enormous, which is awesome. I want to be enormous. I want to be a giant elk. Giant elks do 2d6 damage if you charge things. Their gore attack does 48 + 4 damage. 48 + 4.
I guess your friends can ride you.
Also true. You have an AC of 14, which is way better. You have a 60-foot land speed. Yeah. Giant elks.
What about the cave bear? What does your AC improve?
Yeah, by 1. It goes to 12 from 11.
Is there a cave octopus?
There's not a cave octopus, unfortunately. There is saber-tooth tiger, though. Which, let me pull that one up. Saber-tooth tiger. Does that thing get multi-attack? Checking. Honestly, not sure. Anything that has multi-attack, though, is going to be basically as good as cave bear, if not better. You're just looking for ways to make multi-attack go up, or your attack is so good that you're okay not multi-attacking. All right, saber tiger doesn't get multi-attack, but it does get pounce. It's kind of sucky, actually. 52 hit points, not a lot. It's a lot of hit points, but it's going to be an upgrade for Panther, but you didn't want to be Panther anyway because you'd lose on multi-attack. So yeah, I think the bulk of what you see here are your single big attacks. You're going to see a trend where there's the big ramming beast. So like Triceratops is down the road, but this one is giant elk, and before this it was like deer and stuff and warhorse. Your objective is to just like slam into things as hard as you possibly can, and doing so effectively as the giant elk. Giant constrictor snakes are also kind of neat. So they have constrict, which lets you grapple things for 2d8 + 4 bludgeoning damage. So if you want to like do some lockdown, they have a ton of hit points as well, and you can do that with the giant constrictor snake. So that's kind of neat. You could be a dinosaur at this point. You can be a Quetzalcoatlus, which, again, not available for free, but is available in some book somewhere. I have no idea which book that is, but it is available somewhere if you want to start doing dinosaur stuff. But yeah, Allosaurus is also at this level, I guess.
Wait, are we still talking CR2?
Yep.
Allosaurus is the CR2?
Correct.
I don't think these game designers have ever fought an Allosaurus.
No, I mean, these game designers are comparing what is functionally an animal to magical creatures that command the forces of nature, like fire and stuff, right?
Yeah.
While the Allosaurus has a really crummy attack. It's got 2d10 + 4 piercing to the giant elk's 48 + 4. What an absolute chump. It's smaller than the giant elk too. It's only large, not huge.
All right.
Yeah, that's kind of crappy. All right, 8th level's our next improvement, even though you'd think it'd be 9th for the CR3 stuff. But no, because at level 8, you get a fly speed availability.
Ah, right.
And fly speed availability opens up 0 new second level options, or CR2 options, but it opens up a bunch of CR1 level options that are super neat, namely the Giant Eagle, which goes a Mach 12. It's got an 80-foot fly speed, which is
Wow.
insane. This is where you can start doing some cheesy munchkin nonsense where your objective is to dive bomb, grab something, and fly straight up as fast as you can until it knocks your 26 hit points off, and then you turn back into a bird and it plummets to its death. So that's a cute thing you can do. Vultures have pack tactics, but otherwise are slower, worse versions of Giant Eagles. So, that's just the other thing available to you at this particular moment in time.
How much can you carry as a giant eagle?
Your strength is 16, so a lot.
Okay.
I don't know the math on it, but
Yeah,
it's
that's fine. That's fine. I mean, you
medium
can carry
creatures.
most creatures. Yeah.
Yeah, medium or smaller creatures are not going to be an issue for you. Large is
Okay.
where you're going to have some issues, but I imagine you're going to have a struggle picking up like 150 to 200 pound objects and stuff with 16 strength and the size of large. So
All right.
moving on to 9th level, because we have another feature, which is you now get access to CR3 beasts, which
Yes.
again, there's a whole lot of nested complexity here. CR3 beasts, there are 3. There are ankylosauruses, giant scorpions, and killer whales. And giant scorpions are really notable because they go from having 2 multi-attacks to 3.
Ooh.
So now you have 52 hit points, an AC of 15, 40-foot ground speed, and 2 claw attacks for a D8 plus 2, and 1 sting attack for a D8 10 plus 2. Notably, those mods are a lot lower, but your claws also grapple things. You can do some cool stuff with it. Your sting has a flat DC 12 con save or 40-10 poison damage. It's always DC 12. None of your abilities and your spellcasting modifiers, nothing is ever going to change any of these beasts' DCs. It's always whatever's in the stat block. But sure, now you have multi-attack as a giant scorpion if you want to make 3 attacks. I'm not that convinced it's better than what else is going on, though.
I like 3 attacks.
Yeah, there were 3 worse attacks, though, versus 1 giant attack. It's
But
going to
I
add
get to roll more dice.
That's true. You also have higher consistency, right? You're going to have less rounds where you don't do anything. Whereas if you play as a giant alchemy, you ram something and miss, you go, well, there's my turn.
And if you got something giving you advantage, even better.
Yeah, true. A lot better, actually. Killer whales also here at the moment. So if you want to be an orca hunting things to death, this is a way to do it. I think killer whales and orcas are distinctly, like, taxonomically different, right? I don't know.
I don't think so. I think
they are the same.
I think, yeah, an orca is the real name, and killer whale is kind of derogatory.
Huh. Well, they have 5d6 plus 4 piercing damage bites, so they hit like a bus. They only get 1 bite. They also have a blind side 120 feet. So if you really need to see some invisible creatures and are okay not moving, you could become a beached killer whale.
How long can you hold your breath there?
30 minutes.
Oh.
Okay. Just
I mean,
come here, barbarian,
fight,
drag you around by the tail. Hold on, I kind of love that, actually. Wait, hold on. I take it back. I'm absolutely doing this now.
Yeah. You could get giant barbarian. Could they throw you?
You're huge, so surely not.
No, all right.
You're bigger than they are. Like, even at their biggest size. Last one we got is Ankylosaurus. So this is it's got a tail attack that is 46 plus 4 bludgeoning damage, DC 14 strength or knocks things prone. The perk of it is it's got 68 hit points and 15 AC, so it like is the thickest of lads so far. You are robust, but you're making 1 mediocre attack every single round as opposed to 3 attacks as a scorpion, or as opposed to doing some other cool stuff with the CR2 stuff. So like your options aren't amazing at this tier. I really don't actually think you get a ton of upgrades unless you are really, really gung-ho for the giant scorpion.
Yeah, I like the giant scorpion.
Yeah, me too. Now, I must reconsult the Druid wild shape just to make sure I didn't miss anything. Did I miss anything? Beast you can transform into, CR 1/4. Are we good to move on to 9th level? I think so. I think we're good to move on to 9th level. You good to move on to 9th level or 10th level? I'm sorry.
10th level, yes.
Yes. Oh my god, there's so many things. So 10th level, we get elemental wild shape. At 10th level, you can expend 2 uses of wild shape. That's a lot. 2 uses of wild shape at the same time, transform into air, earth, fire, or water elemental.
How many uses do we have right now?
2 now and forever.
Oh, so we're using all of our uses.
For a short rest.
Yeah, okay.
So it's expensive. It could be worth it, though, because these things kind of slap. So, notably, there are spells that summon these. So, like, you could summon 1, turn into 1, and kill people as, like, water elemental bros. I find that kind of appealing. Now, if your concentration breaks, it tries to kill you. So less bro at that point. But, and especially because you're, in melee range, it may not be the greatest solution. These things have, like, over 100 hit points across the board. They all have some kind of unique movement option. For the most part, so like earth elementals, for example, get earth glide, which lets them move through stone, which is pretty cool. Fire elementals can fly around, obviously. Air elementals can do the same. Both of those methods of travel are pretty good. They all come with unique abilities. So, like, I can touch on their laundry list of damage resistances, which make their functional hit point pool even bigger. So, like, having resistance to non-magical bludgeoning, slashing, and piercing damage gives you huge amounts of comparative hit points. If we're going to compare these things to like regular hit point pools, so it's kind of can justify 2-ish uses of Wild Shape. They all,
And
I
also,
believe,
that could help you maintain concentration as well.
yeah, it usually means you're just going to make the DC 10 check over and over again, and
Yeah.
they all have a high con, which notably you'll be using their con for your checks for those saves. So yeah,
What's
that's
our armor class
notable.
looking like?
So Earth are the best at 17. The rest are Fire is the worst at 13, Water is 14, and Air is 15.
Okay.
Air is also lowest hit point pool at 90. They all are immune to a million conditions too. So if you become one of these, you're immune to exhaustion, grapple, paralyzed, petrified, poisons, prone, restrained, and unconscious. In Air's case, and the other ones have different. They're slightly different. All of
All right,
them.
before you go on, let me ask you this. I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
I turn into an elemental. Am I still exhausted?
The levels stay. The penalties go away.
All right, I don't
So
understand that.
you're immune to the condition of being exhausted.
Yes.
The exhausted levels are uniquely different from suffering the exhausted conditions, right? Your conditions are based off your levels, is my assumption. And again, I could be wrong, but you don't remove your exhausted conditions whenever you become an air elemental. You just don't suffer their effects. So if you have 1 level exhaustion, for example, when you become an air elemental, you still have a level of exhaustion, but you don't have disadvantage on all your ability checks.
Okay, and then
Make
when
sense?
you turn back, you
do,
go
yeah.
back to being exhausted. Okay, that's fine.
Yes. All of them do have extra attack if that's the thing you're looking for, which you should be.
Yep.
The simplest is Earth. It is Siege Monsters. It's only unique ability outside of Earth Glide, and that's just you deal double damage to objects and structures. You hit for 2d8 plus 5, which is a lot. Fire elementals light things on fire, unsurprisingly. And you get a touch attack that lights things on fire. Who could have guessed? Water, I think, has the coolest ability. So they get Whelm, which is like a big AoE strength save or pull things in. Like they're kind of like a whirlpool, which is kind of neat. And Air is Whirlwind, which is like Whirlpool, but you throw things around instead. All in all, pretty cool options.
Yeah.
They are going to feel pretty good whenever you turn into them first couple times. I do think they don't scale particularly well. And again, you still can't cast spells or anything while you are an elemental. So you're going to always be hamstringing yourself as opposed to casting 7th, 8th, 9th level spells and encounters if you just want to hit things for 2d6 plus 3 twice around. The plus to hit on all of these, by the way, is not been going up particularly quickly. They're sitting around +6 right now, and it's been around that for a while. So.
All right.
Lots of words trying to express what all of it is encompassing of these things is challenging, and I'm definitely missing stuff. So, for example, if you're fire elemental, you're susceptible to water. So don't be underwater when you turn to water or fire elemental, I guess.
Good advice.
What I'm here for. 12th level means new beast shapes. Who dis? We've been able to see our 4th beasts. You get elephants and stegosauruses. Elephants are they're worse versions of giant elks for the most part, although you do have 76 hit points. Okay. Stegosauruses, I think, are also worse versions of giant elks. So let me double check. Again, I can't conveniently pull up the stat block unless I find it elsewhere. This thing's got a tail attack that is 66 plus 5, so it hits like a bus with a single attack. Only plus 7 to hit. Only an AC of 13. Yeah, not great.
Are any of these comparing to the elemental wild shape?
Oh, not even close.
No. But, I mean, it's still one use of it, so.
Yeah, it's half the uses, and that is a big deal. I think still, for the most part, you're probably going to be doing giant elks, giant scorpions, is what it looks like to me right now. Maybe the occasional bear. If
I'm
really
probably doing
elementals
and, being okay, and then, like, using up spells. I'm still a druid.
Yeah. We'll touch on that at the end as to I think, some of the core problems with this. We'll get there in a second, though, because we're almost through all of it. So after 12th level, we have 14th level, which gives us 1,000 forms, which is you can learn to use the magic to alter physical form more subtle ways. You can cast alter self at will. Okay, not a feature. Great. We can move right past that, right?
Wow. What is this?
Who has ever given a crap about alter self? Not me, not at 14th level. So
not when I'm turning into dinosaurs.
Yeah, oh joy, now whenever I'm not a dinosaur, I can stab things for a D8. No, I'm sorry, I can stab things for a D6.
What?
No.
That's Is that what you're looking at for Alter Self? I mean,
It's the change
that's not.
appearance. It's
Yeah,
Sky Self at will is what the reason you would
right.
use it. It
Still,
for an option that's already really complicated, this is kind of an out of combat utility feature that lets you feel like a shapeshifter a little bit more, and there's probably
mm,
some novelty to that. I probably shouldn't just write off, oh, it's kind of like a disguise self at will. It's just a second level spell that takes your concentration, or second level spell that takes your concentration to do a first level spell ish like effect that I'm not really that interested in. So that's why I'm not that high on it. You can definitely use it out of combat effectively, especially as again the shapeshifter kind of character, but it's not something that I would reach towards whenever I'm playing this archetype.
no.
Not fair?
Oh, I'm with you.
All right, we're not done though, because we got two more features to talk about, and that's 15th and 18th level, because we have more beasts of different CRs. So CR5 gives us 5 new options. We get four new options. One of them is a swarm of cranium rats. We get Brontosaurus, Giant Crocodile, Giant Shark, and Triceratops. Triceratops continues the trend of trampling charge, big thing that go boom and collide with stuff, and it's still worse than Giant Elk, so we can skip right on past that. Giant Shark is Orca, but doesn't have blind sight, and does less damage with his bite attack.
That seems counterintuitive.
Yeah. It's because it was released earlier, I think. It has
Uh,
more hit points, though, 126 hit points. So, you know.
does it have
Giant
a
Croc.
land movement?
No, it sure doesn't. So he's even
Okay.
slower in the water and has a lower blind sight. Oh,
Hmm,
but it has melee advantage on attack rolls against things that don't roll their hit points. Eh. So we'll get one of those. Giant Crocodile gets multi-attack. It gets 2 attacks, one with its bite and one with its tail. Its bite does do a big chunk too at 3d10 plus 5, and it grapples stuff, and its tail does 2d8 plus 5. So I think there is a reason to do Crocodile. You have 50
yeah.
foot swim speed, 14 AC, 85 hit points. Lots of good numbers there. I think you'll probably turn into a Giant Crocodile, especially because it's huge. You'll be pretty happy with that upgrade, especially if you want to doing 2 shapes instead of the elemental. And finally, Brontosaurus is gargantuan, and that's the most notable text about it. Um, and that's kind of sweet, if we're gonna be honest. Like, I could absolutely see me becoming a Brontosaurus just because I take up a huge portion of the grid.
Yeah.
Like, I'm kind of into that. Is it worth it? It's only got 121 hit points. Its Stomple is doing 5d8 damage and knock stuff prone, maybe. It's probably not worth it, but I'm gonna do it because I want to be gargantuan. Right?
Yeah, that's there's fun to be had there.
Absolutely. Closing things out with the CR6 stuff, you get an 18th level. It's just Mammoth, and Mammoth is worth still worth Giant Oak. It's about as good as Giant Oak. You have 126 hit points, which is more, and you have about the same damage on your trampling charge plus stomp attack. So huzzah! We finally matched Giant Elk down at CR2 or whatever. You love to see it. Okay, that's everything. That's every single beast you can transform into of relevance to my knowledge. Comments down below. Let me know what ones I didn't touch on that you love turning into, because there are a lot of these things, and I have spoken so many words. So, Bob, now it's your turn. Big takeaways. What do you like? What do you not like? Would you moon?
Maybe. I mean, this is for the druid that wants to really lean into wild shape. This is the option. Like I'm glad it exists because of that. That's an important part of the druid experience, and I want the option available to really go for it.
Yeah.
And this gives you that. Um, it, I mean, like, it just doesn't give you much else though, and I don't necessarily need much else. No, I don't need much else at all because this is my wild shape fantasy, and if I don't feel like doing that one day, that's fine. I got a boatload of spells.
The floor on this really is you're a full caster, and being a full caster covers a lot of problems, especially
Yeah.
with the modern spell designs and getting like new, exciting, powerful things to do at all tiers. They showed up Druid spell list a lot as of Elemental Evil into the new stuff, so like you won't have that many issues even if you run out of wild shapes having a large amount of bonuses to combat. That does lend to this is I think a core problem with this is its scaling is still abysmal. And while it might seem like we were talking about those upper CR beasts that were interesting to think about, like, oh, giant crocodile, fire elementals and stuff, you can turn into these big hit point pools. At the end of the day, you're mainly just a big hit point pool. And what your combat looks like is taking the attack action over and over again and just soaking hits.
Mm.
And it plays a lot like Beast Totem Barbarian, where you're going to be, or Bear Totem Barbarian, where you're going to be like,
Mhm.
I got a huge hit point. Well, I want to get hit a lot. My turn is attack, attack, pass.
But the key difference is that here you can turn that off and just go be a spellcaster.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult for the fantasy to really feel fulfilling in the upper tiers. You're going to stop killing things very quickly. compared to like people that invest feats into their builds and whatnot. Like if you
Mhm.
look at a sharpshooter, they're going to become a lot higher damage over time than you are. Your natural growth progression is, oh, now I have 2 attacks that do 2d8 damage as opposed to 3 attacks that do a d6, d8, d8 damage, right? Like the
Mhm.
progression is a lot more muddled. You have to have a lot more sheets on you, and you don't have cool gimmicks to really pair with a lot of them. You're going to have a couple of stat blocks here and there, but like, oh, this one knocks things prone. It's still probably worse for me to take this one over something like Giant Crocodile, so I'm just not going to. You'll have the, oh, I grapple a thing here or there. Okay, in the Lopper tiers, it's not gonna feel that compelling. I found and had players, I've had 2 people play with this for a long period of time. Both of their experience was in the upper tiers, I don't want to be in wild shape anymore. I'd rather be conjuring animals. I'd rather be doing my 9th and 8th level spell stuff, because you sure can't do that until the top end fantasy whenever they finally let you cast spells in wild shape. With what is it? Archdruid? Oh, beast spells at 18th level. So like you really don't get to live out your fantasy all that well until 18th level. But at 18th level, then you can start casting spells and be a Tyrannosaurus Rex. And hey, now you get the best of both worlds. You can just feel better about everything for that reason.
That's quite an image.
Yeah, it is kind of sweet. I really wish Beast Spells actually was a lot lower level than it is, because I think this is the only feature that, or only subclass that would benefit from it. And this, let's be honest, this subclass doesn't need to be better. Its low tier power is actually ludicrous, but it
Yeah.
would be nice. Quick other shout out: Fire Shield is a Druid spell. It is a really good Druid spell here because it doesn't take your concentration and it lets you on fire. And being a flaming giant crocodile is better than being a non-flaming giant crocodile. So do that.
Good times.
Good times. Comment it down below. We don't have a lot of time left in this video, so let us know what your tips for Moon Druid builds are. What stat blocks should you always have on hand? That kind of stuff. There is a lot of depth to this option. There's a lot of complexity to this option. A lot of complexity to Wild Shape and Druids in general. All your thoughts, builds, opinions, favorite characters, all that fun stuff. Thoughts on upper tier play with this thing, all are welcome and encouraged.
Yes. All right. Yeah. Let us know what you think. That was one of our more robust druid circles that we've done so far.
I feel like I only talked about rules the entire time. I'm gonna give this an A. Its low tier power is actually outrageous. Becoming a bear at 2nd level is wildly unfair for the martial characters who will go, I make 1 attack with 1 sword for a d8 plus 3, and you have quadruple my hit points, attack twice a turn, and are that's what are we doing here? Plus you're a full caster. It's
Yeah.
actually real outrageous.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this sells the fantasy well. I'm glad it exists. A sounds good.
Very, very powerful option.
Solid option. Yeah. All right. Well, that was Circle of the Moon. Thank you, Sam, and thank you everyone for watching. Let us know what you think down in the comments. All Sam just said, plenty of suggestions. Yeah, give us your Moon Druid opinions. And like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.